Hello, my lovely edge dwellers. Lucca here, Power Sorcerer, and you are joining Ask Lucca Live, episode 31 on October the 17th. And this, if you're coming to this in the recorded version, then you'll probably want to forward in about two to 3 minutes because we're in collection mode at the moment, so everybody can find us for the day. Hi, Susan. We'll get underway in about 2.5 minutes or so. And in the meantime, if you're joining us, please throw a hello in the comments so I know who you are. It's always lovely to see who's here. And I'm making sure, of course, that my sound is working. So I'm sure that somebody joining will tell me. Susan, perhaps you can tell me if my sound is working. Just give me a thumbs up. And then I'll know for sure. Sometimes, most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And I don't think I have a question from you today, Susan. So, and I think we might have time for one more question. So if you have something that's just occurring to you, then you can throw it in the comments here, and I'll pick it up from there. Sometimes we get the questions at the very last minute here when I'm doing the recording. Last week was a little quieter because it was Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving then. Hi, AJ. Nice to have you with us. I was just saying that we'll be getting underway in about a minute or so, and we're just collecting everybody. Oh, you did. You put one on Facebook last week. Did I get that one for this week? No. Did I answer one for you last week? That's possible. Let's have a look and see if I answered one for you. I have all my list of questions here. Oh, you might have thrown a question in. Yes, you threw one in at the last minute, so I don't have a record of it. Yeah. So if you have another one this week, you can go ahead and do that again. Same for you, AJ. If you have a question you'd like me to answer this week, you can throw it in. I think I might have enough time and space for that today. Apologies for... Don't have to apologize. Okay, so I think... Yeah, we're at 1:30, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with just the folks who are here today. I'm sure that the rest of everybody will show up. But let me do the introduction. So once again, if you fast forwarded, if you're in the recording, then welcome. I'm Lucca, Power Sorcerer, and this is Ask Lucca Live, episode 31 on October the 17th. 2020, the year of the pandemic. This is going to go down in the history books as the year of the COVID-19 pandemic. You want to know if you're on the right path spiritually. Okay, so I'll come back to that again at the end, Susan, but thanks for throwing it in. So I have pinned to the top of the group is a few pointers of things to keep in mind as I do the readings in any reading setting. And I've put them on there so that I don't have to repeat them at the beginning of every one of these sessions, so I don't take up too much time. But one of the things that I remind everybody of always is that your gut feel for you is more important than anything anybody can tell you, and that includes me. So no matter who the reader is, they're still reading you through their own personality and their own prejudices and their own good days and bad days. And sometimes their own ignorance, right? Sometimes I get a symbol, and I'll tell you what the symbol is when I get it, and then I'll give you the interpretation, because sometimes the symbol means something to you. Hi, Flora. Sometimes it means something to you, but it doesn't mean the same thing to me. And sometimes it doesn't mean anything to you, and I know that I have to go digging around in what that means for me. So always, you're the expert on you. So keep that in mind always when anybody's doing a reading for you. And if I tell you anything that doesn't make sense to you, then put it in a holding tank and wait until you get enough validation to make you feel comfortable with it. Also, time and space are not what we think they are, so anything I tell you about the future is a probability only, and it's based on you continuing to do things the way you've been doing them up until now. And the probability is everyone has free will, and everybody in your life has free will. Hang on a minute, I'm just going to tip up my volume here. Everybody in your life has free will, so you can just imagine the exponential multiplication of outcomes and probabilities and variables because of that. So I always remind everyone of that as well. So everything else, I'll let you know as we go along. When I do a reading, I'm tuning into my higher self, my guides, any dead relatives that are floating around me. But usually I've integrated most of those already. And so I tune into all of these for you also. So your higher self, your guides, any dead pets or dead relatives that are hanging around you, the angelic realm, and the intergalactic realm. And I'll come back to what intergalactic means later on because somebody asked a question about it today. So that's a perfect opportunity to explain more about it. So that's what you need to know about where I'm tuning into. And if you need to know any more about that, then you can just put it in the comments here, and I'll grab it and clarify more. So the first question today is quite a long one. So I'll read it to you just because I know that when we're trying to figure out what our question is, I call that setting our intent. And you know, half of finding our answers sometimes is finding our question, figuring out what our intention is. So that's so many of you may be kind of going through the same thing as you try to sort out what it is you want to know from me. And a lot of people, as they're telling me what their question is, sort out some of their own answer. And often telling me the question helps them to clarify, and then we get to it. And very often my guides or yours will say, wrong question. What you should be asking is this. So we're just starting it off. Hi, Moji. Okay, so here's first question. This one is from Andrea. Andrea says, I just found out that I may have a rare genetic disorder with both my dad and maternal grandmother being passed and both of them being in question for possibly having the same thing. I'm wondering if you're able to pick up any insight into this or which of them it may have come from. My maternal grandmother was adopted, so we don't know anything about her family history. And I think this happens a lot. Especially in medicine, because they'll say, well, what's your family history? And we don't always know. I mean, even if the family members are alive, they don't remember, or there might have been something they had in their childhood that if it was a big family, everybody got jumbled in together and nobody remembers. And very often people are raised by someone who's not their genetic parent, or they're adopted, or so. Hi, Tara. So let's see. So Andrea says, I did do a 23andMe genetic kit, but have not found anything close enough genetically to match up with to ask questions, unfortunately. Would you have any insight on leads in that direction as well? Do my grandmother or aunt have a clue for me in which direction to look? The grandmother and aunt that are dead, I presume. Yes. So let's see what we get for you, Andrea. So what happens with genetic disorders is that having the gene is a predisposition. And then there's a number of other things that have to come into play as well. Some of them are environmental, some of them are exposure, some of them are stress factors, and some of them have to do with our basic makeup and our belief system. Now, what I've been told over and over and over again, hi Anne, is that we choose our earth families, and we choose them based on, to some extent, the genetic makeup of the family. And so if we need to be tall and blonde, we're going to choose a tall and blonde genetic family. But we're also we're going to choose genetic predisposition. We're going to choose ancestry. If we need to do some clearing on the ancestral line, we're going to choose culture, socioeconomic status, what country we're going to be raised in, the circumstances under which we're going to be raised, because a lot of those things are already in place when we come in, and then we do what we need to do. We interact with that set of circumstances. So if you are an actor and you want to play comedy, then you don't audition for a role in a tragedy. So the same thing is true when you're choosing what kind of life you want to live. You don't put yourself into a family where you're not going to be able to have the optimal conditions for whatever it is you want to work out. And it's not, I want to have a happy life, so I'm born into this family. Sometimes we choose the perfect storm because that's what we need to work with. So, yeah, you did make it just in time, Andrea. So that's the background to this, is that although you may have a genetic predisposition, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it, manifest it, have to work it out. Doesn't mean that you'll get it really badly. Those are variables. There's lots of variables in there. So that's what your guides are saying to me, Andrea, is that there are a lot of variables in here. So if I tune into your dad, Andrea, can you tell me your dad's first name? That makes it easier for me to find him. Hi, Desiree. If you could tell me your dad and your grandmother's first names. Well, I can find your grandmother through your dad, but yeah, your dad's around. But it comes through even stronger if you can give me a first name. I when I tune into this, Andrea, I'm not getting that Dwayne. Okay. Yeah, okay, I've got him. Yeah, see, it comes through much clearer when I've got the name. And Rena is your grandmother. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Your dad. So your dad is stroking your head, and he's saying, don't worry so much. Don't worry so much. Anything that happens to your life, in your life, you're not alone, he says. I wouldn't leave you, he says. I mean, he left you, but he wouldn't leave you. You're not alone. He hasn't left. He's there. Rena is a little bit further away, but she's still there also. She doesn't have anything to add to this one. What your dad says is enough. The genetic disorder, my sense is, did not affect Rena. She wouldn't have known it at the time, but from where she is now, she can say that it wasn't from her. And with your dad, he carried it and never manifested it, is what I'm getting. So, both of them being a question for possibly having had the same thing. So yeah, your dad carried it in these genes, but never manifested it. And the chance he could have, but he didn't. There wasn't. What he's saying to me is there wasn't enough worrying, and that doesn't mean that there wasn't anything in his life to worry about, but there wasn't enough worrying to make him manifest something that required that much stress to click it and turn it on in his genetic makeup. So questions about this, I think the genetic research is interesting to you, but I don't get the sense that you will find anything when you go in there that will shed light on this genetic disorder. One of the things they're going to learn about genetics is that it's a framework. And And so they're going, as they go deeper and deeper into the mechanics and the science of genetics, they're going to begin to understand the things that I work with all the time, which is energy. And they haven't, that I'm aware of so far, they haven't measured what stressors do, and circumstances do, and energy does to genetic conditions that pre-exist. So this is going to, they're not going to find all their answers by going at it the way they thought they had the magic formula, the magic pill that was going to fix everything. And it will and it won't. And so this is where the world is having to wake up to what energy does, and how it affects us, and how we are all energetic beings. So, and this will come up in another question a little bit later, but we're all energetic beings. And so therefore, our energetics affect everybody around us as well as ourselves. So when I learned to do Reiki, we learned to do it with sound vibration. And the most powerful sound vibration was when somebody made sound in their own body, and that the sound frequency, the vibration, helped to break up some of the energy blocks in the body. So we're going to find that sound and energy, and sound is just the most obvious one because we can hear it with our ears, so we know it's there. But electromagnetics and all of those kinds of things affect us profoundly. Okay, so I think that's everything that you need to know for this one, Andrea. It was a long answer to the question, but I think it's one that affects all of us, so interesting to know. Jeanette has the next question. Jeanette says, a psychic told me I would meet him, in quotation marks, this summer or next, but that there will be a test in patience on my end due to circumstances. Have I met him already? No. I didn't even have to think about that one. No, you haven't met him already. My sense is that he's moving around. I don't know if it's moving around in the city or like changing his travel patterns, or if he's getting on a plane and moving around, or a train or whatever, car, but he moves. And so and you don't move around as much as he does, which means that he's got to come across you. Probably it'll be him coming across you. You can't engineer this. And the more you want it, it's like we get with our intention, we get all constricted, and then the energy's got nowhere to move. So what we want to do is set your intention and then pay attention and be curious. Like the curiosity energy is loose. It's like, oh yeah. And so it opens things up. So it's like caffeine constricts things, and love and yoga and breathing is everything. It all opens it up more. So that's what they're saying to you, Jeanette, is live your life, do the things you love to do, stay loose, go to the places you like to go to. If you have a funny feeling one day that you should go left instead of right, then do it. And this person, if they're supposed to, if that's still their intention as well as yours, you will trip over them. So that's the how's your love life question. My third question today is from Robin. Robin says, I love the way Robin phrases this. Oh boy, have I made a mistake going back. And we're talking about, I presume, going back to work here. And then there's a sigh. So let's see, Robin, what we've got here. No, you did not make a mistake. Is it easy? No. The organization is, and as I say this, I seem to recall having said it before. The organization is in massive amounts of upheaval right now, and that means that they need you more than ever, and that means that you need to be grounded more than ever. So you took time off and you stabilized your standing position, your knee, and you've you're going to need to be grounded, earth grounded. That means spending time in your garden. That means spending time around animals, which I know you have, spending time in nature, and hang on to Rick, not because he's going anywhere, but because he's stable and grounded, because this is going to be a bit like a tornado where you're working. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean it's going to be all over, but this is like we've got to get that organization through the eye of the needle. And that's going to take some precision and a lot of energetic force to get it through. And you're part of the guidance system. So I don't know if you even need to know exactly what the changes are going to be, but you are part of the funnel that's going to allow this energy to come in, because there's this where you work is an energy center, one of the energy centers for the area in which it's situated. And so what happens there is going to affect a lot of people, because there's a constant stream of people moving through it on a fairly quick turnover. And there's a radio station there, and there's all kinds of ways of passing energy along. And so that's why you're there. And if you want to know any more about that, then let me know. But no, you did not make a mistake going back, and do whatever you need to do to help you to cope. It's going to be, my sense is that the worst of this is going to be over by the end of November. And then it will just start to taper off a little bit. Things will be more breathable by February. And then it's going to be getting on with the integration. So if you can hang out for that long and put all the supports in place that will help you to hang out for that long, then that's going to help you a lot. So that's Robin. Fourth question is from Moji. Moji says, I have a very nice client, and her son passed away a few years ago very suddenly. So sad. His name was Darren. Such a handsome guy, and loved his mother and his daughter. She was 14 years old when Darren died. I presume that's the daughter and not the mother. Do you have a message for Mom from him? So let's see if I can. Yes, I can find. Yes, it's a very different kind of energy. It's a big wave, like yes, from Darren. Oh, he is so pleased to be able to get through to you. And it has to go through you to them, because they're not as open to coming to somewhere like this to be able to get this information. So Darren says they need to know that nothing that happened was their fault. They couldn't have done anything any differently. It was his time to go. His job is to be their family now from the other side. So he is in some ways more present on the other side than he was when he was here even. His daughter, he is with his daughter all the time. Just all the time. He's one of her guides. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's there, present with her all the time. I think she kind of knows that. I don't know if she would have put it in exactly those terms, but I think she knows that. So that's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. He's helping from the other side. He's always present. They can get to him. All they have to do is call. It's like, call out my name. And you know that wherever I am, right? Because time and space aren't what we think they are over on that side. So it's you're not taking up their time. They have infinite amount of time. They can split themselves into infinite particles. There's never not enough on that side. The not enough is a three-dimensional quality that we dream into existence. It's not a fact. It's a perception. Okay, so I hope, Moji, that makes your client and her son and well, not son, because he's fine on his side, and he's just thrilled to be able to get through to her, because he's wanted to. I mean, he's been dropping these hints, but she hasn't been trusting them. She's been getting them, but she hasn't been trusting them. All right, Steve. Steve is next. I have had quite a few auditions the past little while. Do you see me booking something soon? Yes. Any big break in my future? Yes. Yes. Because everything, hi Mariana, everything is changing. Everything. And so, Steve, you're positioned. You're positioned, and the opening hadn't come yet. And when you know that you're supposed to be somewhere doing something and you're ready for it, and then the opening doesn't come, after enough time, you begin to think, well, maybe I got it wrong, or maybe I'm at the wrong door, or maybe, right? And it just makes you crazy. So what they're saying is, you're positioned. Don't worry about it. Yes, the big break will come. And also, it's the nature of this work that it's cyclical. And there will be downtimes. So you're going to have other things that you do that make you a richer human being. Other things that are creative, other things that are social. And so what your guides are saying, Steve, is do all those things, and keep applying for the work, keep workshopping it, keep practicing, keep dreaming and creating, and then do all the things that you really love at the same time, and so that you can do this. You can move backwards like a dance, right? Oh, okay. So we've got three jobs in a row here. That's wonderful. And now we've got a dry spell for a while. So then I can do my other things, because otherwise you're going to worry yourself sick over your career, and that's not what you want to be doing, is worrying yourself. So that's a short and sweet one for you, Steve. Now, Divinity wanted to know. She says it's a curiosity question, and those are more than welcome. I have a question. At the start of each session, you mentioned various beings that may come through in the readings. One of them is intergalactic beings. Who are they? Do they support Earthlings, if that's the term for us, or are they personal guides? Sometimes they're personal guides, but also they support us in general. So what's happening right now is the planet is going through a shift from a three-dimensional way of working with dreaming up life to a multidimensional. And we're not the only planet that's doing this, but we're the only planet that's doing it in this way. And so all these intergalactic beings are around to hold us as we do all of this. But they're so my guides, because they're playful with me, they call me they refer to us as Earthlings, to take all of the out of it and make it more relaxed and flowy. But one of the things they said to me many years ago is, you are not an Earthling, stop trying to behave like one. So when we talk about intergalactic beings, many of us are intergalactic beings, and we're wearing Earth suits. It's like when we sent astronauts to the moon, when they walked on the moon, were they mooners, moon dwellers, or were they Earthlings in a spacesuit? So the same thing is true of us. We're intergalactic beings in Earth suits, and we all wear different kinds of Earth suits, but we're all also different kinds of intergalactic beings, and there's as many different kinds of intergalactic beings here as we have races on the Earth, and probably more so. So, if you peel back me, I remember watching that film called Close Encounters, where there's a scene in the swimming pool, and the woman in the character, she unzips herself, and when she unzips herself, what's inside is this little is blue light. That's what she is inside. And I sat there and cried, because although I hadn't thought of myself in that way, that hit me right in the heart, because I am my intergalactic form, if there is one, because it's an energetic form. It's not as dense physically as what we have right here. My intergalactic form is blue light, and that makes me smile. I just tell you, if I say a little blue being of light, I'm happy, because it's little. Like in my intergalactic form, I'm shorter than I am in my human form, earthling form. So so there's all of us intergalactic beings who have incarnated here on this earth right now to be part of this process, and we do it with humility, right? We feel very fortunate to be part of this process, because it's astounding in the galaxy and in the universe. This is quite unique. We get to be part of this experiment. But there are also a whole cadre of intergalactic beings all around, holding all of us on the planet as we conduct this experiment. And many of them are not in Earth suits. And it's a privilege to be in an Earth suit and be down here. It's hard, it's challenging, but it's a privilege. And so they help us. They tweak us. I have had so many energy adjustments done on me, and when they come in and do them, it's often when I'm having a massage or having energy work done on me. Sometimes it's at night when I'm sleeping, and they'll say, well, yeah, you were out of alignment. We needed to tweak you. There was a big energy influx. We needed to adjust that in your system so that it didn't throw you for a loop. So that's your answer, divinity, is that those intergalactic beings are around all the time, and we are those. So I'm just going to have a quick look back here in this. So Mariana has a question about health. Let me see if I can read it here. It's been almost a few years now that I've been suffering from a bloated tummy. Naturopath gives me remedies, gets better again. And then let's see what it says in the next one. And can you tell me why I get this? Okay, let's see what we've got here about. So Mariana, stomach, yes, gut. The gut issues, which are stomach, so gut, have to do with how you are seeing your world. And again, we come back to this idea. You missed it at the beginning, Mariana, but we were talking about genetic predispositions for things. And so when I get this recording up, which will be a few minutes after it ends, you can have a listen to what they said at the beginning. But stress makes everything worse. And so there's stressors in your life, and they are impacting you as well. My sense about the naturopath is that the naturopath is working through a number of things it could be and trying out all these different possibilities for what they could do. They haven't hit the right one yet. Or I should say they haven't hit the right combination. So they're going like this, and they're saying there's two that need to go together. If you tell your naturopath that, the naturopath may have a better idea about, because your naturopath has been thinking about potentially putting two things together. There's a number of different things that could be. Tell your naturopath to muscle test you around which of the combinations would be best and which ones I think there's two that you can try, two combinations you can try, and you just need to know which one to try first. But I think, I understand that you would be at your wit's end. Completely understand this. So go back to your naturopath with that and see if you can help. But in the meantime, you want to be doing some things that help you with stress. And maybe, I don't know if you're seeing a counselor, but if you are a psychotherapist or somebody along those lines, get them to help you to take a look at some of the ways you're framing your experience in the world right now, that would help you with this. The intergalactic stuff, important for you to keep in mind. That is going to help you. And so all of you today who are listening to this need to know about the intergalactic piece. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here listening to this, and divinity wouldn't have asked it when she asked it. And when I do, sometimes I channel the intergalactic beings, like I channel them full on, and they come out sounding slightly tinny, and their sentence structure is a little bit formal because they're coming through. It's a big energy adjustment to get it in through me, but I'm getting better at doing it fluidly like this than in the past. He detected an issue that stems from 5 generations back. Yeah, it does, and you might be that it does that too. It's like you've got a soup going on in there, and the more of these things you can tease out and deal with, the better this is going to be. And right now you're hypersensitive because you've been carrying this for so long, and so your system is raw. It's feeling raw. The generational stuff, you want to work with somebody who is an energy worker, who can work with that generational energy. If you don't have anybody, I might have somebody that you can talk to. So get back to me if you need that. Your mother's is 4 on your mother's side and 1 on your father's side. So that's what they're giving me about that. So I'm just spinning back here and seeing if there's any other questions here that I haven't dealt with yet. No, it doesn't look. Oh, Susan, just wanted to know if you're on the right path. Yes. There's your quick answer. You're on the right path spiritually. Yes. There's somebody who's going to teach you things who is arriving in your life right about now. So watch for that person. You'll immediately feel comfortable with them, and you'll know that that you can trust them, and that it will be about your empowerment and not about you becoming reliant on them. So that's fabulous. So we're at the end of our time for today. I run a couple minutes over because I just wanted to pick up this last few little bits. So thank you all hugely for coming out and joining me every week. It's my great pleasure to do this work. I love it. Keeps me happy and hummy like Pooh Bear. So remember that all of you, because you're in the group, you can invite other people to join the group. So feel free to do that if you come across anybody that you think belongs here, and intuitively you'll know if that's the case. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the services that I offer and how you can get hold of me. So if you already know that, you don't need to hear that again, then you don't need to stick around because we are complete for today. But thank you again for being with me and for being part of this, what I call the edge dwelling community. We're dwelling at the edge of our known selves and investigating all of the fabulous possibilities about what else we are that we're unfolding as we go along. So blessings to all of you. And remember that you too can speak intuition. And now let me move into talking a little bit about what I offer. So I am what I consider to be a full-blown psychic. So everybody has some intuition. Some people have a gift for it, and I do. I've had it since I was a teenager. I formally learned more about what to do with it when I was in my late 20s. And then by the time I was into my early 30s, I was already doing readings for people, and I've been doing it. It's the consistent part of my career that I have been doing all the time ever since then. And I've gone into, I worked in the business world as a management development specialist. I qualified as and worked for most of my 30s as a counselor, and still do on occasion, but usually when it combines with something else that's needed. I also qualified as a coach. I was doing coaching before they had a name for it, and then I went back and got the qualifications once they'd solidified their process of certifying coaches. So I've been a certified coach for I'll be coming up on 10 years now. So those are all pieces that I use in what I do, but the major part of what I do, my niche, if you like, is empowering people to hear and use their own intuition. So when I do, so there's two parts to what I do. There's the doing readings for people, so we use my intuition, and then there's teaching other people to use their own intuition, and that's the development end of what I do. So so when I'm doing readings, there's a number of ways you can get them. One of them is what I call a ping mini reading, which is 15 minutes for $30. It works better if you have a very specific question that you want to ask. It's not so great for the where's my career going questions. But if you want to say, is this, should I take this job? Should I make this decision? Should I buy this house? It's very good for those kinds of things. Or if you've already worked with me before and we already have a body of experience and I know what's going on in your life, then that's good. We can go do a quick in and out. And that's the only one of my services right now that has a fixed price tag on it. The rest of my services, we can intuit what's right. So on my booking page, it says what the full price is. And then you can come back to me and tell me if you can do that amount, then that's wonderful. A lot of people still have been. And if that would create hardship for you in your life, then you can let me know what amount won't create hardship for you, and then that's what I'll invoice you. So I'm doing that for at least until New Year's, because that's my pandemic thing, and I may do it after that as well. Depends on how well it goes and whether it's creating hardship for me. So we're doing all of that. I'm just flicking through to the end here with my, whoops, I'm waving my finger around in front of the camera. Okay. So I also do hour-long readings, and I do reading circles. The reading circles, instead of being in people's living rooms, hosted in people's living rooms at the moment, are online. So if you host one, in other words, if you get all the people together for a reading circle, and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about that, then I have a thank you gift for the host, which is a free hour-long reading sometime in the 2 months that follows that. And you get to have a reading as part of the circle as well. That's why I extend it to 2 months afterwards, because sometimes you don't need a reading right after because you've just had something, or sometimes I've said something to you and you really want to go into it deeper. So that's all the readings end of it. And they're public readings, and right now I'm doing them just like we're doing this. I'm doing them over Zoom at the moment, or I can do them over the phone. And any other way, Facebook Messenger, whatever way works, that's the way I can work. And most people like to be able to see me. And then the other end of what I'm doing is I offer coaching of people's skills in terms of using their own intuition. I do that in a group setting over a longer, months-long program. With up to 6 people in the group. And that one I call Power Circles. And I'm just waiting to get enough people who can all coordinate their schedules at the same time to run my next one of those. And then the other one is one-on-one coaching with people, especially, and both of these are when people want to be able to access their intuition, not only in their personal lives, but in their professional lives as well. So but for both of these, I have an exploratory session that you can do with me. I have exploratory sessions for everything, but those exploratory sessions are a bit longer, and they're free. All of my exploratory sessions are free. The exploratory sessions for readings, I don't do a reading, but I explain to you how I do a reading. And the exploratory sessions for the Power in Your Back Pocket, which is the one-on-one coaching, and the Power Circles, which is the group one, where we create a community of you who are all doing the same thing. Both of those, when you get together with me over Zoom, I will do some work with you so that you can actually feel what it's like to work with me, because I don't want anybody to make a commitment to that kind of commitment to their own development without being really sure that this is a good fit and this is what you want to be doing. So there's all those ways of getting in touch with me. My website is powersorcerer.com, and that's spelled power, SOURCERER, deliberate misspelling, because I help people to find the source of their power. So that's what my This is what my business card looks like. So it says on there, increase your awareness, expand your options, empower yourself. So that's what's behind absolutely everything that I do, is helping you to be more empowered so that you're not dependent on me. So I do myself out of a job, basically. I want people to not be reliant on me. I want you to be empowered to do this for yourself. So what most people say to me about the readings that I do is that I validate something that they were already wondering about for themselves, something that their intuition was telling them. And the other thing is I help them to reframe what they're looking at so that they can see more possibilities. So those are the two most common comments that I get. And the other one that I get is that that I'm so normal. That's what people say to me. But you're so normal. Because I think they're expecting me to have big hoop earrings and long fingernails and be in a tent with fringes everywhere and a big crystal ball. And really, I'm walking around like everybody else who walks through the grocery store. I'm a little unusual. I like to wear brightly colored shoes, but other than that, I'm pretty normal. So that's it for today. Thank you for sticking around for this last part. I look forward to reconnecting with all of you next week. I'm doing this, as I said, until the end of the year. And if there's anything else I can do for you in between, let me know. You can reach me through my website. There's a contact page on my website. There's a contact pop-up window. And then there's the booking page as well. And all my services are described on my website. So thank you for being here. Blessings to you. And remember, until next time, you too can speak intuition.